السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Masjid Carpark podcast, episode 23. Please like, subscribe, and press the bell icon. Assalamu alaikum, Malana.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
So, we're doing this podcast from home via Zoom. Malana's got the good camera, so Shaykh Khalid's got the
Not
good
Zoom,
camera.
not Zoom, man.
What's it called? StreamYard. We're doing it
StreamYard,
via. Okay,
StreamYard.
we're doing it via StreamYard.com. How's that? Free plug for StreamYard. Malana's got the good looking camera. I'm using my mobile phone. Inshallah, this turns out well. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Just enjoying lockdown, I guess. I think lockdown number 4, I think it is now.
No, lockdown number 3,452 for Melbourne,
this is
and
our
lockdown number 2 for the rest of Australia.
yeah, but no one else has had a real lockdown in Australia except for us. We've done the hard yard, man. We did the long one last year, and then
Yep.
now we're doing this again.
Here's
Anyway,
the $1 million question: do we need to do it?
yeah, if we keep bringing Indians back into the country, got to do it. I mean, Lata's not here. I don't know where he is. He's supposed to connect, but people are insisting bring more and more, and like the wisdom is showing that we need sort of like a buffer, maybe, or like
we need a better quarantine process.
I shouldn't say Indians. I mean people from India. You know, like Australians. It's stuck in India, unfortunately. The reality is that's what happened. Exactly what we're scared of happened, which is sadly, it's.
But the thing is, the one is the quarantine part. Then I was hearing something today as well that are talking about did it come through because of cricketers? Because certain cricketers didn't have to quarantine when they came in. They spent
No
14
idea.
days elsewhere. So that's
Whoever it was,
something to do.
according to the Age's article on what was it? While Melbourne slept, COVID partied hard Saturday night. So whoever it was, because if you see the list of all the places, it's all Chapel Street,
Yeah,
wherever
man.
it was, and but it's like one person is like he's
He's just decided to visit all of Melbourne.
he was everywhere, and so it's like, all right, but then it spread to another person, and it was just a snowball. Of course, we have to have it. You asked the question whether we have to have it. We have to have it. We have no choice. Like we have to, we have to have it. So it's needed, and it's unfortunate, and it's affecting people's businesses and lives and families and plans and weddings and the whole lot. It's chucked everybody's plans. I had holiday plans, but they got cancelled. You know, I can't. It's just a holiday. In this, like, I'm thinking in a pandemic to go to holiday. You know, can you imagine someone during the bubonic plague? I mean, it's not that bad, obviously, but like someone during the plague was going on
Speaking of holiday, can you change your flights? Did they have that allowed?
No. What they allowed for me was I can rebook, so which is good, but I'm still getting bloody Qantas messages of upgrading to first class. Even though I get a message from Western Australian government. Yeah, every day they send me a message about reminding me tomorrow is your flight, the holiday that I didn't go on, and the Western Australian government send me a message. Western Australian Police, Border Police, or whatever it is, they send me a message that you are not allowed to enter into our territory or something like that. You know, so.
Did you tell them you haven't left Milton?
Yeah, I'm just. They say we don't consider your.
4,000 kilometers away.
I mean, I did give the holiday, not the resort or whatever you want to call it, the motel, hotel. I gave that. Yeah, I gave that as the address. I gave that as the address of where I can quarantine myself in case I've got it. I don't think they appreciated that.
No, that's not gonna happen. And resort. I don't know if you could call it a resort, but yeah. Anyway.
No. One of them is called the Eco Resort. The place. It was called. It's actually is a resort.
I remember when we went to
Fiji. It's glamping.
Bro, I remember when we went to Fiji, we booked this thing on Airbnb and it was called an eco resort. I wish I could show you the videos. You turn up, eco resort by the beach, snorkeling, whatever. This beach was just brown. It was just basically mud. Right? I did go for a snorkeling for the sake of it. But then
Yeah.
breakfast will be provided. It had those little Fiji buns, and I think you get a cup of tea or something with it. It was good because we were backpacking, so it was freestyling it. But
Yeah.
it was an interesting experience. So whenever anyone says eco resort now, I always have the apostrophes in the middle of it going expect anything.
Yeah.
But it's a
Exactly.
start.
Yeah. Anyway,
I
whatever it
think
was, it's not happening. So let's move on to the next. So now they're
let's
saying
talk
the
more about the
Chinese. Let's
holiday that
let's
you
find
went
some
on.
find some scapegoats and minority groups to pick on. So apparently the Chinese now they're actually it's not the Chinese. It's saying that it might be. There's actually experts saying this has come out of a lab. It's
Yeah, well, I was reading today about that. It's called the WIV, the Wuhan Institute of Virology. So what happens is you've got governments that want to weaponize viruses. So what they do is they look at existing viruses. So one was the SARS virus or whatever it is, random viruses, and
mm,
then they basically change them so that it becomes
mm,
more infectious, it spreads more. Now there was three places in the whole world where bats were being studied. One's in Texas, I think. There's another one. There's two in America and one in Wuhan. So this journalist this professor who was interviewed was saying that as soon as it happened, the first thing that he looked at was where is it, and it came out of Wuhan, where the Wuhan Institute of Virology was the place that was doing the most research into bat-borne viruses that jump over from bats, right?
mm,
And America had a lot of funding there as well. So America's funding a lot of these Chinese corporations. I can't remember the exact term. I'm using the
mm,
word weaponized, but that's not the correct term to do this. And that's why even during Donald Trump's thing, the higher ups in the American administration were saying, don't look too deep into this. In one of Donald Trump's interviews, he actually says, I've seen the proof that it's what's it called? That it's from a lab, but I can't tell you about it. So what did everyone do? Because it's Donald Trump, they just jumped on the bandwagon of this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Which
yeah,
most
he's
of
a
the time don't.
racist, and the deep
Yeah,
state like they didn't like him, so they
yeah,
under and everything now changes. Like the exact same thing. Like for example, there was some rules that I think some sanctions, some restrictions on China. So this week something happened. Biden extended that, even went even more further than Trump.
that's right.
But when Trump was doing it, they were going nuts. But
That's because he's a
so
racist and all of that
yeah,
stuff, right? But when
yeah.
you look deeply into it, no, the guy actually had some information that we didn't. And now it's coming out. However, one of the things they're doing now, the American administration has done, is we're not funding any Chinese labs. But they're not talking about the Wuhan virus or that it was started in that lab. So
Hmm.
there's a lot more watch this space situation with this at the moment to
Say
see
that
what
again.
comes out. There's a lot more watch this space, so we got to watch what's happening. I think there's a lot more to come
Yeah,
out.
yeah. Yeah, it keeps on morphing as well. Like now, there's a UK strain and there's an Indian
Now the
strain, and then the
no,
South African and
it's not Indian, brother. It's Delta. It's the Delta variant.
Delta. Yeah, we can't
The
pick on minorities
Delta
or
Force.
in
Delta
Australia.
Force.
Yeah, yeah, the
Right.
Delta
So
one.
it's the Delta variant, but it's hitting kids. There's a family now, a mother, father, and young child,
Mm,
in Melbourne, and they think the kid he's 5 years old in grade five picked it up from another person in school, North Melbourne.
that's sad. Yeah. So
So
and then
it's
apparently in
pretty worrying.
Vietnam, the UK or South African one combined with the like it made like a third, fourth one.
So they
So
didn't. So they didn't nikah.
whatever they did, they made a new variant apparently, which is more potent and more contagious.
And it
Allahu
affects
Alam.
kids. That's why Singapore's gone into complete lockdown because it's affecting children as well.
Mm,
Like
that's
schools,
sad.
people aren't allowed to go to schools. Like kids aren't allowed to go to
Yeah,
schools. It's actually pretty scary. And that's
yeah,
one side of the coin. But then the other side of the coin is you have a lot of people protesting because Melbourne's in lockdown and dictator Dan and all that's come to the surface when Daniel Andrews is not even around.
oh yeah. There's been protests like a few days now.
It doesn't
You
even
know
make sense.
yeah. I mean, they're destroying people's livelihoods. I get that. I get the frustrations, and people are just sick of it. Like you know,
Yeah,
they
but what's
just
the other option? Let's look at overseas. Let's look at the effects that it's had on different countries. I'm not just talking about India here. Let's look at
Yeah,
Vietnam,
Sweden,
look at
and I get
all
it.
these
Yeah,
countries and
yeah,
what's
yeah,
happening, and then
yeah.
go, okay, say it's a hoax, whatever it is. My thing is it worth the risk? I mean, on a personal level, I love lockdown. I just chill out at home. All my
Yeah,
electrical
yeah.
work.
You
I've
know,
actually
one
been
good
busier
thing,
this week.
one
I mean,
one good thing, alhamdulillah, was that we had Ramadan and we had Eid,
Eid,
like
yeah,
as a
alhamdulillah.
community and thing. I think most of us taking our stride and like we feel relaxed. Compared to last year, was very stressful. No
Yeah,
Ramadan, no masjid, no community, no Eid, nothing. That was very hard. But this year, I think, because we had that, this is like, yeah, all right. It's a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe. You know, however long it is, we'll be all
I
right,
think it's going to
inshallah.
go for more than 2 weeks.
You reckon?
Yeah, I reckon it's going to go for more than 2 weeks.
Nah, really.
Um, yeah, I really do. At least 3 weeks. Inshallah, I'm completely wrong, and I'm just pulling this out of thin air. But if you look at past experience, in a week we have to get down to 0 cases or zero community transmission.
Mm,
That's not that simple, all right? If you have
you
a look at
reckon?
how
With
many,
all,
well, look, think of all the sites we've got.
and also how busy everybody is, like traffic wise, mate. The roads
Traffic,
are. I don't.
it's still
During the
busy.
day, it feels like it's still busy. People still moving around.
Yeah, when
So
I went to the shops today, I had to go to the shops today. Where did we go? We went just Thomastown. Yeah,
yeah,
Thomas, that's right. And there's still a lot of traffic on the roads. I don't. It wasn't like last lockdown.
yeah. It just takes one Delta infected, person from a
You just love
certain
using the word.
from
You
a,
just love using. Don't go there. You just love using the word
from a
Delta.
certain South Asian state. But anyway,
That's right. And hi to all our Indian viewers. Again, we have a big
yeah,
contingent.
we are joking. We are joking, and we know it's
He doesn't want
we're,
to lose subscribers. That's what he's doing right
many
now.
many apologies, many apologies, thousand apologies.
No, but the thing is, reality is that, but in India as well, I think they're starting
Astaghfirullah.
vaccinations are going on. It's an interesting time, and then on top of that, you've got that new virus, the SARS, the chicken bird flu virus that's jumped to humans. It,
Yeah.
it was it was complete
Oh,
deja
another
vu.
one.
Yeah, I was reading the paper the other day. It was complete deja vu. Reading this article that somewhere in China, the bird flu or chicken flu or whatever it is has now jumped to a human.
Oh
It's just
God.
like, what the hell's going on? I keep forgetting
You
to
know
take
what it's.
classes.
When you look at the hadith and says about Allah will
Sallallahu
send
alaihi
when people become immoral, shameless, then especially when it comes to like sexual matters and so forth, people become immoral and shameless, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send such sicknesses there's no cure, or sicknesses that there's no it's unheard of. People never heard of before. Like COVID, it's never happened before. Like this type of sickness,
No, no,
like the
we've had
plague.
coronaviruses before.
No. We
COVID is
haven't.
just a
We're on
form of a
this level.
coronavirus.
Yeah,
On
yeah.
this
So
level, no.
we haven't had it. We haven't had it. We haven't had it. It's a sickness. COVID
Well,
19
we
has never
have.
happened in history. COVID 19 has never happened in the history of mankind. COVID 19,
Yeah, because it's a
2019.
new virus. It's a new virus.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Allah will send sicknesses. Why He's sending sicknesses? Subhanahu wa ta'ala, because people are shameless. They're committing sins. That's why. The hadith is very clear on it. Allah sends
Right.
earthquakes because of this thing.
I
Allah,
gotta look at myself for that.
yeah,
We
stop
all
being
have to start within
shameless.
ourselves.
Stop being shameless. And I'll stop being
We,
shameless as
we,
well.
this is the thing. Whenever I'm hanging around you, I'm just fighting the whole time.
Oh, really? Because of what I'm doing? uh, anyway,
But
they're working on that. That's the biggest cure actually for these sicknesses is that we make tawbah as well. But along with that as well, we have to take the medicine and they're doing vaccines or
have you been
trying to.
vaccinated yet?
I was thinking of going, but apparently there's a rush. So
Yeah,
maybe I should
it's
call.
a
I'm
massive
not
line.
really
I
because
need to get
I'm just at home. I'm just home the whole time. I'm not going anywhere, so there's no urgency like for my life to go. You know, so I'm not like in a rush for some reason, but I think we should do it.
Yeah.
But I was talking to my brother yesterday. He said he doesn't want the AstraZeneca one. He wants the Pfizer one. I think because the AstraZeneca is the one with the blood clots, right? That's
That's
caused
right.
blood clots. So
But for
why
the
are we
young
even
ones,
doing
it's
that?
Pfizer.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why it's under. What was it, over
My mum,
50s?
my
I don't
mum
know
got
how
it.
old
My
it is.
mum got the AstraZeneca one, so she's been sick for a few days now. That's
How did she
expected. Like
feel?
after, Oh, the headaches and cramps, stomach cramps. Like she's not well. So that's just apparently that's a normal side reaction to some to people. Different people react differently. Even if you get like a meningitis or because it gives you a little bit of the thing. So Allah give you shifa, but
I
that's
mean,
sort of so that's someone I know that has got it. One the first jab, I guess. And but I'm thinking of maybe the Pfizer one. Can you just go in there and say I want the Pfizer one, I
no,
don't want the other one?
no, they tell you which one you're going to get
All right.
according to age and things like that, and then they just tell you what to look
It
out for,
seems
what
the
to avoid.
Pfizer one's the more cooler one or the better one.
The
I want
cooler
to be.
one. How do you get
Well,
the word cooler?
I don't know. It just
You
seems.
feel colder when you get it?
It sounds nice. I don't know. It sounds like it's like one jab, and it's apparently it's better. You know.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I think is it the AstraZeneca one that you have to every year. I think you need to get a top up,
Yeah. So this is
or every
like.
couple of years you got to get a top up.
Why
It's
don't
a
they
good
just?
money making machine.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a good way
I
to
mean,
make money.
why they can't make the same one as the other guys? Different technology, obviously different. You know, probably system they build it through, but anyway, yeah.
But I don't think much is going to change in the world until
I thought my plans were really up in the air with the holiday being cancelled. Was you saw that couple in Pakistan in Lahore, German? I think a German couple.
yeah,
They ended up
German.
stuck. They're stuck in Lahore because they were
Well, what
going
they
on this
did,
journey. If you see their car, you laugh because it's such a
it's amazing.
it's love hearts print like on the car,
It's basically
and
not. It should have been in the 1970s. It's a modern looking Audi, but hippied out to the max.
then it's
And
got a camping thing
German,
on
yeah.
the tent put on top. And so then they arrived. They went through all the countries. They arrived in
So they drove
through Iran.
through Iran, yeah.
Yeah, from Germany. They drove all the way, and then they arrived at where? Pakistan, and then COVID,
And they
border sealed.
they they arrived to the Wagah border, and they were like, "Nah, mate, you guys aren't coming in here."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
from
So
there,
that
that's how they ended
so
up in Lahore.
so then now they're in Lahore, and they got taken to a police station because they're just staying there legally. Their visas run out, and she's the lady. She's making soup, selling it to people, and it's a
No,
journey
it's
of love.
free. It's free. The soup
Oh,
that
is
they're
it?
making,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. They're
the
giving it
soup
to
that they're
people,
making
inviting.
for poor people, whoever wants it.
Oh, whoever on the way, she learned how to make the soup from different countries along there, like
Yeah,
Bulgaria,
and so
Romania,
when
all this.
she's in Lahore, the soup is for poor people. Whoever wants it comes and has soup, and whoever wants to donate, they can donate towards the soup. It's just the most random thing. Imagine these two like Westerners
Germans.
just in. If you think about Lahore, Germans stuck in Lahore.
Yeah,
They got. I think their car got towed at one stage. Like they've had so many random situations, but they're still
yeah,
hell bent on moving on. If that was me, I'd be
yeah.
like, book me the first flight out of here.
India, especially, like, why would you want to go there this time? You like, Pakistan is part of India. Like historically, it's like you're in Hindustan. You made it. You went to Lahore. Lahore was part of the Mughals, winter capital, summer capital, whatever it was. You've made it to India. This is part of India. You know, go back
Yeah, nah,
to Europe.
but that was quite controversial. What you just said that Pakistan is part of India. I'm sure the Pakistani audience is gonna love that one.
Historically, I'm talking about. It's like the same region. Like it's Victoria, and New South Wales. It's that big. If you look at the map,
Yeah, it's
it's.
Victoria, New South Wales, but the differences between
I
each
missed out on my
city
holiday.
within
My
India.
put it this way, I had to go to Western Australia. It was 4,000 kilometers away. I can do a lap around India, Pakistan, like both of them together. That's how small it is. So that's what I missed out. But they should, but love of a thing makes you blind and deaf.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Why not? You're on an adventure of a lifetime. Let's just stick it out and see where it takes us. Even being
COVID's enough adventure. COVID's been enough of it.
just being every day in Lahore is an adventure. So who knows where
Yeah,
it'll take them or where these guys could end up.
yeah.
Interesting
Speaking
times,
of
to
adventures,
say the least.
these who was it that bought the island? The
No
the
one's bought an island. This is hilarious. Meme land. What happened was on Reddit, some guy just started a thing of why don't we buy an island? It's hilarious. Why don't we buy an island? We call it meme land, and then they can make Keanu Reeves the president, but the island has to have a reef, so they can call the reef Keanu Reef. right? They want Elon Musk to pay for it, right? And just start this island, and then that just snowballed onto, well, and then people started taking it seriously, right? And then from there it snowballed onto the media that Redditors are doing this. Redditors aren't doing it. They haven't bought an island. Then another guy came up with an idea that, okay, instead of an island, why don't we do a town? Because then everyone can drive to it because it costs too much to go to the island, right? And we make a town that everyone's welcome to. And then the guy's like, and if people are in different countries, we can help them set up their towns called Meme Land. Um, then the newest development to Meme Land is there's a guy that owns an island off the coast of Cuba, right? It's a 120
Yep.
acre island. He's like, I'm happy to open this up if Redditors want to go there and establish a community. Right now, there's a cabin. If you're all happy to pay for like costs, like legal costs and building costs and stuff like that, I'm happy to divide the land up and whatever and make this island into like a Meme Land island.
It's part of US.
It's part of Cuba. It's just this
Oh,
random guy's inherited a island for his uncle that he's had for 40 years.
yeah,
And
but
you
you
know,
can't.
Reddit.
You're within a state. You can't really.
Well, no, you can't.
You know.
That's the whole
Yeah.
point. So, but I love the fact that these Redditors. Oh, yeah, that's right. You know, Redditors, right? Generally very intelligent, stuck to their computers, always in front of their computers. One of the Redditors goes, "Let's call it the Virgin Islands."
Mm.
Right. Anyway, you gotta understand the pun, but I can see you're keeping a
I understand the pun, but it wasn't funny. But there is already a country, Virgin Islands. Isn't that a country
That's
already?
because you're always on Reddit. So
Huh?
there's a country called
Yeah.
the Virgin Islands.
Speaking of land, there was a new masjid was built in Strasbourg, which apparently is part
Yes,
of France, but it's like German. It's got some special
it's on the border with
dispensation,
Germany. Yeah, it's
right? But it's
the
not part
area
of.
called
It's not.
Alsace.
But it's not part of German. It's not. It's German, but it's not part of Germany. It's part of France.
It's on the border. That's correct. So if you
No,
look
it's
at
border, but it's not a separate country. It's part of
no,
France.
it's
It's
not.
within.
It's not. It's in the province of Alsace. I don't know how they pronounce it. Alsace. So
But
they
it's part
have
of France.
yeah, it's part of France, but they have
Yeah,
separate laws to themselves.
exactly. When they became part of France or whatever it was, they made some agreement between each other. There was so then it's got separate laws, and strangely, the Turks they built Miligurush. I think they built a
Yeah.
masjid there.
And
Turkish
Miligush does
organization.
build a lot of masjids around the world, mashallah.
Yeah, in Australia as well, mashallah. Very nice masjids and schools and Ilm College and so many other institutions they built. So anyway, they built the Sultan Eyub Masjid. Massive, beautiful Turkish masjid. Like you look at them, they know how to make masjids, like standardized.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Well,
when you look at it, you
this
feel happy.
minaret, imagine this minaret in France is 40 meters high and it's got 28 domes.
Well, I think it's
So
a replica of the Eyub Sultan Masjid, which I
yes,
went to in Turkey. So that masjid was built by Mimar Sinan, if I remember correctly. And when he built it, like it took him 7, 8 years, like to make the foundation. And the king was getting upset. The Sultan was getting upset. Like this is like 400 years ago, and he said like it's taking too long because this is like to commemorate his khilafat, whatever it was. Anyway,
Mm.
and he said that I'm building it to that it will last till the day of judgment. Like,
subhanallah.
like
That's what Erdogan said about the masjid he's building in Istanbul as well. That
no,
he
no, he
built
finished. They
in
finished. Yeah,
yeah, the
Taksim
one
Square.
that
But the
Taksim Square.
Ayub Sultan. But I found out Mimar Sinan the way there's so much that went into it, so much thought in the way they designed it. So I learned when I was there in Turkey, well, in this mosque, the way they designed it, that the masjid was supposed to represent. Of course, it's Deen and everything. It's a house of Allah, but it's an extension of the Khilafat because the Khilafat is Islam, right? That's why, like you know, when Abdullah, what's the Sahabi, Abdullah bin Zubair, Abdullah bin Abbas,
Radiallahu anhu.
Abdullah bin Zubair radiallahu anhu. When he was born in Medina. There was Muslims born in Makkah, but his mother's the daughter of Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu. She goes, he was the first child born in Islam because Muslims have their own polity, their own rulership.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She goes, he's the first child that is born in Islam. So the Khilafat is a representative of not just the Sultan, the leader, king, or the government, but it's also a representative of Islam itself. So the way the masjids were built, the size and thing, from the outside, it overalls all the what's in the area. It's
That's correct.
supposed to be imposing,
Oh,
so they know
subhanallah.
who's in charge in this area, right? And
Okay.
then, but when you walk into the masjid, the way the color and decor and the way it was designed, it was to be humble, right?
Subhanallah.
On the inside it's reversed because it's a place of worship and ibadah. But anyway, it's interesting how much thought they went. Like he built like 100 structures that are still 200 structures that are still here today. He was a military engineer, fascinating guy. So they copied the masjid, but now the masjid made from concrete and stuff. But they follow
Yeah.
the aesthetics of the masjid, beautiful masjids. So now Erdogan he opened up the masjid in Taksim Square, and that's like because he said that the masjid is going to be built like 25 years ago, and it finally got built. It's finished for that area. It's like it's a big masjid. That's one. He built another one in Istanbul. Then he built another one in no, that was a presidential palace in Ankara. So you know,
Going back to the Strasbourg one, that's going to be the biggest masjid in Europe.
oh
And
subhanallah.
the French government have got a lot of issues against it because the local council they're putting $2-3 million towards it. So they're like, what
Yeah,
you're bringing in the biggest problem with this masjid is they're saying that it's bringing in Turkish influence when the locals are just
yeah,
saying no, this is just a need for the locals. That's why we're doing this. But they're doing it in a
yeah,
very grandiose way.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Erdogan's masjid overlooking Taksim Square, that masjid actually I think is it removed or they removed before that a memorial to Ataturk
Nice. Don't call him
and
Ataturk because that means the father of Turks. Just call him
oh
Mustafa
does it?
Kemal. Yeah,
Oh, I
don't
didn't
call
know
him
that.
Ataturk. Yeah, that's
Okay,
like an
Mustafa
honorable
Kemal.
title, man. Yeah,
All right, so it
yeah,
was a memorial or something to Mustafa Kemal.
yeah,
So that's why a lot of people are arguing against it. And even Erdogan, when he was the mayor, I think 1994, he became the mayor of Istanbul.
yeah.
He
He
actually,
pointed the picture pointing to it. There's gonna be
yeah,
masjid
he
built there. Yeah.
pointed to it and he
I
said, "We're
saw the
gonna build a
picture.
masjid there."
Yeah, what a interesting guy. Look, at the end of the day, he's a ruler of it, and this is part of related to the topic, the person that we wanted to talk about, which is the Kurdish, um, uh, the head of the Turkish rebellion in 1923-24, Sheikh Said Naqshbandi, I guess. His famous rebellion, it's called the Sheikh Said Rebellion. It's considered like the first rebellion of the Kurds against the Turks.
Turks.
But Sheikh Said was a alim. He was a Naqshbandi sheikh, and but he was also a tribal elder as well. And the interesting thing is, if you look at his grievances now, what happened was that his whole thing. I mean, this is related to Mustafa Kemal, right? So if how anti-Islamic him and his group and whatever they were,
Mm.
and how hard they went in trying to get rid of Islam. And it's like there was nothing like almost left. Like every symbol of Islam was to be wiped out. Every organized thing of Islam, and he goes, if I want, I'll put Islam or religion in the dustbin of history or something along those lines.
Mustafa
Like he
Kemal said
really,
that.
yeah, yeah. So he, in that rebellion, so the nationalists, the Kurdish nationalists, of course, they take that as a, um, uh, they take it as a, what do you call it? Uh, they take it this is our nationalist cause, nothing to do with Islam. But if you actually look at the Kurdish, um, the last sort of like regiments or of the loyal to the Ottomans, ironically, were Kurds, and they
That's
wanted
very
because they
ironic.
had more. Yeah, that's the first thing. They were more loyal to the Khalifa than the Turks themselves. The Turks got rid of it. I mean, of course, there was pious people, good people, whatever, everywhere, but they all fell in line under a nationalist banner now because they're Turks, right? And so what happens with yeah, I mean
Yeah,
no 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 no, no
true.
because they, not like I'm talking about today. I'm talking about that time. It's just naturally everybody sort of closes ranks and goes to what's familiar. So it's not a matter of maybe bad or good, but the problem was what held the Kurds and Turks together was not a border, it was
It was
Islam.
Islam.
And so when Islam was taken out of the picture, then why are Kurds submissive or why do they think so? Then it accelerated the whole nationalist Kurdish movement and so forth. And because like we're not Turks, why being forced to be in Turkey and
But do you
our
think
language is
Do you think Sheikh Said's rebellion was for a Kurdish nationalist state, or was more in defense of the Khilafat?
Well, he actually said about the Khilafat has to be reinstated, and that's the he actually specifically said that. I think in the middle, in his time it was about the Khilafat, but
Yeah.
it was to be, but it was about saving it by the Kurds are going to save it, right? Which he didn't eventuate, and then but then after that, when that rebellion failed, of course it would have. I mean, these people don't even have respect for Islam. They don't have respect for anything. They're imposing a different language upon us, all this sort of stuff. So then, because in the Ottoman times, the Turks, because the Ottomans were Turks basically, Kurds and Armenians, all sorts of people lived under the thing. Of course, bad things happen historically between all these peoples and so forth, but generally they were not forced into things. And this is, actually take a step back, I think it's partly triggered also by the Arab nationalism. So when nation states started to appear in Europe, that project was imposed on the whole world. You have to carve up the borders.
Yeah.
And Khilafah wasn't like that. It was a little bit, the borders were more, they had borders like of states, more states or counties within a thing. So if you look at it, even like the things that grievances that he raises with them, like what Mustafa Kemal did. So for example, 3rd of March 1924, which is 100 years according to Hijri calendar, passed a few months ago, got rid of the Khilafah. Shaykh al-Islam, which is the most senior alim of the religious hierarchy of the Khilafat, he was got rid of. Sufi Khanqas, they called that was got rid of. Sharia courts were got rid of. The Diyanat was created, a religious body to manage the Muslims' deen, I guess. Awqaf was, they took full control of the Awqaf. What was it? The endorsement of the, they made certain laws, emergency laws for the South to suppress rebellion. Specific different laws were created for the South. European civil law, so Swiss civil code, Italian criminal code, penal code was adopted. So like they dismantled every Sharia was got rid of.
Every aspect of the Khilafat just to wipe it out and make sure that no remnants of it remain.
Yeah,
So
hijab was got rid of. Hijab was got rid of. Polygamy was banned. Women were made equal in inheritance, divorce, and civil marriages against the Quran. The Hijri calendar was got rid of. Arabic calligraphy was alphabet was replaced with Latin ones. Adhan was changed into Turkish. Traditional dress, like Islamic dress, was gotten rid of. Ulama had to dress a certain way, like westernized. Turkish language is imposed upon even minorities. The creation of the like basically they call them people's rooms. They were created, which was basically places where people had to gather together and talk about Republican modernity and art and education and so forth. Like it was a complete 180 degrees.
Yeah, overhaul.
A foreign thing was overhauled. Yeah, total 100%. If you think about these things, like sometimes people criticize, say, religious Muslims. Why are they insistent on? Then how come they were so insistent and Europe supported them in these endeavors, right? Like why were they supported? Anyway, back to the person of Shaykh Said.
And finish what you're saying. If you think of these things,
yeah. So the reverse of reversing this is also the mission of the Muslims, because these were also. But the problem is when you create nation states, which is something that didn't exist historically, and you force it, and you need a mythology. Like in Australia, they got Anzac, mateship, all these sort of things. You need a reason for what to bind the society together, right? Yeah. So you need to you have to sell a mythology to people. Their mythology was the Turkish race. They took a lot of things from Germans as well, yes. Like extreme racist like things from Germans about their race. So you have to create something about your own race, right? The same thing, the Arabs got the same, different, like people had to create different mythologies, and when one of them comes in contact with the other, the problem is the other is not part of that. Like if you're not an Arab, and if you start telling me about your virtues and how good you are because you're an Arab, then automatically I'm out, right?
Yeah.
Or if you're a Kurd and tell me how good Kurds are, and I'm like, okay, you're fantastic, But like, you're sort of putting and it's not even your choice which nationality you're born in. It's not an achievement, like to be an Arab or a Turk or a Kurd or whatever. But the problem is, as soon as one asserts their own ethnic identity, then everybody else in that room or whatever, the country, oh, we're not from that. Like white nationalism,
you've already become an outsider instantly.
Exactly. So the Kurds were.
That's what enables nation states to succeed, because you make everyone apart from your nation an outsider, and what happens after that? You're just constantly making sure these nation states are going against each other.
Yeah. So the most stronger view is that Sheikh Said was more. He was a religious leader. He was a sheikh. He was a thing, and he was a Kurd as well. But I think the movement morphed after him because the way he was executed, right? So, but if you look at him, you can see he's clearly a religious. He's an alim. You can see the pictures. Oh, this is a practicing the sunnah. Everything's there, So, but after him, it was so brutal, that I think the Kurds over time they became more and more jaded. Rightly so. Because
that's.
I mean, I heard, and I hope Turks don't. If any Turks listen, they don't take it the wrong way. But I mean, talking about history, right? Apparently, they weren't even allowed to be called Kurds or called Turks of the Mountain or something like that. Like there was specifically like because of that racist sort of part of aspect of one ethnicity. Everyone does it. Pakistan, for example, is another case. Like this is the weird thing. Like you have to create nation states, right? Yeah. Pakistan is like 50 languages. How do you build a cohesive one? So of course it's done. It's Islamic Republic, right? But that's like even like a weird thing to say, like an Islamic Republic, an Islamic nation state, which historically didn't exist. So now you have to create the best one is we mentioned it before about Saudis. I mean, literally, it's one family that takes over and names the whole country after themselves, and then all of a sudden now. Like before you're Hijazis or Makkawi or Madani, now all of a sudden you become, or you're from Jazirat al-Arab, you're from the Arabian Peninsula, now all of a sudden you've become... You're a Saudi. Right? Yeah. And a whole myth is created about how the state is made and all these sort of things. So, like your whole previous history is wiped out. So same with the Turks as well, their Islamic history was sort of pushed and they're rediscovering now since last the 80s, sorry, the 90s. They've rediscovering that whole legacy and scholars are working on it, ulama are working in, and things are being translated. The fatwa being translated, Mufti Taqisab, I think he was in Sweden or somewhere, Norway, and then one brother's working on the fatwas of the Ottoman. I mean, they're there. We have books. I have one on my shelf of fatwas that were during the Ottoman Khilafah the Muftis gave. So there's like one of the books. So it's something that is a whole history had to be wiped out. When the languages changed, they're cut off. Yeah. Because there's no history.
If by the conquerors, you need to wipe out the history of whoever you're conquering in order to subjugate these people and think you're better. I mean that's the way it's worked. So to make it think the people conquering us are better and they have what we need, and forget what you've had.
But I think the Kurdish movement after Sheikh Said. The Kurdish movement after Sheikh Said,
something else.
It became just only a purely nationalist. And I've heard someone said this to me, or it was directly said to me, or someone said to me, like a Kurd said that Islam is for astaghfirullah, the Islam is for the Arabs and the Turks, not for the Kurds. So then a lot of socialists, of course, looking for those nationalist causes, socialists, Soviet Union sent arms and all these sort of things. So those communist colors start coming into those societies. So. And this was tried in Afghanistan and Balochistan in Pakistan and other places as well, but there are legitimate grievances like they had. I'm not sure how Erdogan deal with it. I heard under his watch there was a lot of improvement for the Kurds, but
Inshallah.
I think no there were. He's been in power for 20 years, so there are improvements. He was much better than the previous one because he's more Islam.
The West still plays them off against each other though.
Yeah. But the only unifying thing between them. And the thing is that all the actors have to adopt Islam. Then these things becomes irrelevant. And if Islam is not there, then these superficial things, like whether you're Kurd or Turk or you're an Arab or non-Arab, all of these things become so important that you're trying to get for your tribe, which is like a representation extension of yourself. But anyway, just an interesting figure. in the early 20th century, dealing with a situation where now there's no Khilafah. You're in the Republic of Turkey. Think about that.
Yeah.
You're born in a Khilafah that was across 3 continents. Now you exist within a border of the Republic of Turkey. Even that tells you something which
Yeah,
never
your
existed in
world's just
history.
gotten smaller as well. Your world's just gotten a lot
And
smaller.
you're an outsider within your society now, and your people are now divided over like 3-4 countries: Turkey, Syria, Iran, and where's the other? There's one other country. So in Iraq. So it's like your people are cut up in one. So that doesn't even seem right. Like, who decided that we people, like same with Pashtun people, Pathans as well, they cut off between Afghanistan and Pakistan, right? Who decided to draw a border that these people will be on 2 sides of like some English guy, right? And same with the Turks as well, some French or
How did they say
British.
some old white guy?
Yeah, and they just draw up a border and that's it. You know, like now
But look,
forever you're separated.
thousands of kilometers removed from the actual what's happening on the ground.
Yeah, so it's I'm just trying to think going back in time. This new thing that has appeared, revolution just happened, and a revolution happened against the deen and the interest of Islam and Muslims, and a nationalist project was started, and the people were fed lies, and Islam was dismantled. As we read through the list, there's more other things as well, but those are a few of the things that were done. Basically, every symbol of Islam was dismantled, and or a temple was made to it. But subhanallah, these Kurds ironically were the ones, they were the last call of the Khilafah, like at that time, like they were the last, they're ready to fight for it.
Ajib, man.
You know, like Turks have to remember that. He's like Turks that are like, you know, watching Ertugrul or whatever, you know, these dramas, which is based literally on 7 pages of history. There's 7 pages, I think, in a history book, or 7 lines or 7 pages. The rest is all just dramatization. And who he actually was, from what I hear, was a pious person, and the people were pious, like those people and men and women were pious, that society. But like the way they're presented is like, anyway, people think that that's actually what they are, but even historians said the costumes are all wrong, the colors are all wrong, like they're actually dug into from a history perspective. But like their history goes much further than that, and it's beyond one ethnicity, right? It's the history of Islam. They're part of the history of Islam, and they became something in history because of Islam. And if it wasn't for Islam, there'd still be nobodies, right? Same with the Arabs. That's what Umar radiallahu anhu said, that we were a people that were humiliated, and Allah honored us through Islam. And if you look for honor in anything other than Islam, Allah will humiliate us. This goes for the Palestinians, it goes for the Egyptians, it goes for the Kurds, it goes for the Turks. Any people that anybody that looks for Izzah anywhere else except for Islam will be humiliated. If he says La ilaha illallah, he's a Muslim. So Allah has made our Izzah, He's tied it intricately into, and He said that at the time of conquest of Palestine, ironically. You know, He said to Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah radiallahu anhu, that at that time that we're a people that were humiliated, and Allah honored us through Islam. And if you look for respect anywhere else, Allah will humiliate us. So it's something to be said about where we look for Izzah. And these nationalist causes are lost causes, you know. And look, even Erdogan, in the Muslim hearts, look, it's a nation state. He can't do nothing, right? He can make overtures, like symbolic overtures. Good. It's better than nothing. At least he can read the Quran, right? Try getting in the rest of it.
Very well, mashallah.
And try to get.
It's amazing.
Try to get any other Muslim leader really to read one line properly, right? The guy, he talks the talk of Islam at least. Like before you do something, he can't do nothing about Gaza. He can't stop Israel, like whatever. He's limited, his army's limited, and so forth. They're not a superpower in the world, right? They are, but at least even doing that, because of Islam, Allah honored him in the hearts of the Muslims across the world. He's got respect. Even when he gets angry, Muslims make dua. We feel happy. He gives a voice to the practicing Muslim or Muslims. He raised the issue at an international stage. So he's someone like, how did he get honor, respect in the hearts of the Muslims? It's because of Islam, him being a practicing Muslim. You know, not through anything else. Who are the 10 presidents before 10 presidents before Erdogan? You know, like who are they? Where are they? Yeah, we don't no idea. We don't know.
But the whole world
yeah, yeah. So he the G silent Erdogan, but
Erdogan.
uh,
Erdogan, he's a gun.
mashallah, Allah protect him, and Allah make him more, and Allah make better than him. And but
I mean,
it's something to be noted about. That rebellion is worth a study. Sheikh Said is worth a study, but it's such a weird. It's not. You're not dealing with the world today. You're dealing
yeah.
with things they lived under. He's an old man who's lived under Khilafah his whole life, and
And
it's
all of a sudden,
gone.
everything's just changed.
Everything's gone, and all the religious things. So, but I think it's over time. I think the Turkish nationalism was so much that it just intensified the reactionary. Same with Arab nationalism was so much because it was Arab rulers that betrayed the Turks, and apparently the Turks were doing hardship. They, but they whatever was happening wasn't nice, and
Yeah.
they when as
Well,
soon as one said
basically,
we are this, the other one said yeah we're not you, so we're something else. They have to assert their identity as well.
well, I think this is where the colonizers use this to divide and conquer. So let's get rid of Islam, this thing of Islam over all of these countries. No, you're an Arab, you're this, you're that, you're this. Now you have to fight for your own thing rather than as a collective.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, divide and conquer. Yeah, it's the English, the
It's a
policy of the
simple
English.
principle. That's right, which is still going. It's the
And they
simplest way to
there
put
was
it.
poets during the Khilafah. There were poets on the Turkish side and poets on the Arab side, writing nationalistic Arab and Turkish poems, which raised up feelings against
Mm.
each other. So there was a whole concerted campaign, you know. Like today, you see in the media, like the campaign. Well, Israel is losing the campaign, the PR war, 100%.
Well,
It's
look
losing.
what's happening with Instagram and what is it, Facebook and Instagram. People are complaining that it's what was it that they're showing favoritism towards the Israeli side of things and deleting posts from Palestinians. Anything from that was talking about
I think it was an algorithm. I think it was algorithms were
no,
doing
they
it.
said it was. They said, yeah, that's right. And so anything that I did with Sheikh Jarrah or Al Jarrah or whatever it is, posts
Uh,
from there were being completely deleted.
yeah, they keep even Bill Maher, whatever the mayor, whatever Bill Maher. He on his show, I listened today. He said Hamas started firing rockets into. They're pushing this narrative of
That's correct.
Hamas firing. They're just lying, like they're openly lying. Oh, what is Israel supposed to do when they fire 4,000 rockets into Israel? What are you talking about? Have you guys got like a short-term memory loss or like a long-term memory loss, whatever it
No,
is?
but this is
Like
the
you
narrative they want to push because what's happening in the world now,
so
the
they
term apartheid is being linked with this Israel very strongly.
yes,
Especially when you look at social media. Now that's a huge negative. Even that
yes,
clip of Nelson Mandela when he was in the US and they said, "How can you support, Hamas or whatever it is?" Yasser Arafat back in that time, he said,
yeah,
"Look, our
yeah.
struggle for freedom and equality isn't complete until the Palestinians get their freedom as
Hmm.
well out of this apartheid." So Mandela is the first one on a global scale that called it apartheid.
Hmm.
And Mandela's such a respected figure.
And also the
That part of
Irish as
history
well.
is the Irish, mate. The Irish are amazing. They copped it
Yeah,
from the British for so long. They know exactly what the
how it
Palestinians are
feels.
going through
Yeah,
because that's what happened to them. Guns being
yeah,
pointed at them, 13-year-old kids, be having guns pointed at them. So much zulm went on in Ireland,
yeah.
and
So
that's why
they
they
can
start that.
really
Yeah, and that's
yeah
recent history.
sympathize.
That's not great grandparents. That's parents and
Yeah,
themselves. Like 30-year-old Irish people. That's 25-year-old Irish people. That's recent history to them.
yeah. I don't think Lada's
So
coming, man. I just sorry off the. I think we're
completely off
giving
the
up on.
topic. I think Lada
Sorry,
Lada's, Lada's
bro.
probably asleep.
Yeah, khair,
It
inshallah.
is okay. It is just for information why we're saying we don't think Lada's coming. It is 12:51 a.m. on a Saturday night,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I wonder
We're
why. I
supposed
wonder
to do
why.
Thursday. We're supposed to do this on Thursday, then Friday, then Saturday. So we just get it out of the way so we don't miss a
So
week.
so so we
Uh,
thought we'd try it on StreamYard
yeah,
and to see how it turns out. Obviously, the camera's not going to be as nice to some of us because we don't have the new camera setup. However,
yeah,
as we can see, Sheikh Khalid, mashallah, the noor is going hard.
yeah. This is a Sony 5100. It's an old camera. I connected it to the computer. But anyway, looks
So
alright.
is that it? Does that work out like your webcam?
Yeah, it's a like a you know,
Photography camera.
photography camera. Yeah, so
Mine's just
mirrorless camera.
mine's made in China. Upper phone. Speaking of made in China, 3-child policy, brother. Do you think it's gonna happen?
They've
Chinese are
passed it.
nah, yeah, but they're not. They've passed the law.
They don't want it.
But
They don't want the
no,
kids.
the average Chinese person is shrugging their shoulders, saying, "I can't afford one. I can't afford two. Now you're telling me to have three." And there are some of the
You know
old
what's going to
guys.
happen? You know what's going to happen? Chinese are going to become like uh, Chinese are going to become like the West. They would have to bring in migrants, which they don't do. Chinese don't. Chinese and like
China
Asians
will
generally.
not. China
Europeans
doesn't
figured
have
out a
the base.
formula. Europeans figured out a formula. Like they build up the world, whatever their countries, like they're the first world, and then everybody wants to be there. So they created like the idea of that. Oh, we need people from overseas can come here, become citizens, can vote like that was can come into power, be equal citizens. Like that concept is amazing, actually. Like in Saudi Arabia, you can't become a yeah, right? Which is like literally like you're a follower, right? It's a second
Yeah,
class. It's not even a permanent. You have a straight. You have a. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can.
Your camera just.
No,
Okay,
you just
we're
froze.
having technical difficulties.
Yeah, that's all
You
right.
froze.
I
Yeah.
think we can allow ourselves a little bit of leeway since we're doing it so old school, for want
Yeah,
of a better
first time
word.
anyway. So
Mhm.
so anyway, the Saudis don't want to even give you citizenship, right? Doesn't matter where you're from, Muslim or non-Muslim. We will
Do
not
you
give you.
want Saudi citizenship? Do you want Saudi citizenship?
I mean, I would like an option to be in the Holy Land, you know. So as a Muslim, like
Yeah, I'm happy with
it's
Australia,
so
mate.
that
I'm
so that
happy with Australia.
no, I'm happy with Australia, but the thing is, it's something as a Muslim. They said some
Yeah,
weird stuff like, what did they say to Syrian refugees? They wouldn't take in refugees, right? And the refugees don't want to
really.
go there. You know what they said about the refugees? He said they're too culturally different from us, so it's better they go to Germany. They speak the same language. They speak the same language. They're literally like, you know, up the road from them.
They did
Like they're
not
in the
say that
same geography. They said they're too culturally different from us
to the
to
Syrian
be
refugees.
to put them in a to Saudi Arabia.
So they sent him to.
Refugees.
So they sent him
Well, they
to
said
Germany
Turkey,
instead.
Europe. Yeah, they sent them the other way. That's why they went that way. They don't even want to come there. They know what's in Saudi. Like
Yeah,
you'll be treated as a
well,
second
that's
class
right.
citizen. So, having said that, Asian countries like Japan aging extremely aging population, and the
South Korea.
replacement birth rate is 2.1. That's apparently this is like if you need to replace the population, you need to have a birth rate of two. Like for each two people, another two people is to come into the world, right? 2.1 apparently, maybe 1.1 is for contingency or something like that. I don't know. Maybe somebody can't have a kid or something. I don't know, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So just to avoid any
So you got to have
things.
an
So
arm or something like that, and then another person has a leg, and then you have to join this person to get this body together. Sorry, that was
yeah,
just random.
yeah. So anyway, the point being was that it's so that what they need to do is they need to start. But the thing is that they don't have a system of immigration like say Australia has. In Australia, especially now it's on a point basis, qualifications and all that
Mm,
sort of stuff. They have like a quota for asylum seekers and all that sort of stuff. But they and through the United Nations, but
mm.
they have an immigration policy and to bring families and you can become a fully fledged Australian in the sense of you can live here, be a citizen, vote. And so same with the UK. Most of Europe is like that as well.
Go
But
camping.
Asia, but these Asian countries, like for example, like have you heard of a Bangladeshi guy going to Vietnam and becoming a like becoming a
I've heard
citizen?
of Pakistani and Bangladeshi going to Japan and doing that.
No, but did they become citizens?
Yeah, they.
You
I
know?
don't know if they become citizens.
No. They're married. I know there's people that got married, but are they like fully and are they fully accepted into the Asian because to be accepted like into a yeah you meet a like a Pakistani yakuza have you met a Pakistani yakuza
I
I mean
haven't met any.
you gotta
I've never met any yakuza, but that would be
but
interesting.
yeah, so like there's a whole, and they have very finicky about all
Yeah,
their cultural stuff.
but a whole societal shift has to happen for that, and that won't happen in one generation.
But
And
they'll
I
die
think
out in
what
that
you,
generation. Two, three
yeah,
generations, they'll die.
but when you talk about China, China's not even ready to let anyone into their country right now, mate. You can't even go in there to check out where the virus came from, let alone
No, no,
immigration. And
people are there, they're living there, but immigration, citizenship might not be.
that's what I
And
mean.
then you'll have to, yeah, you're still an outsider. You're still an outsider. You always be an outsider.
Exactly.
You know, yeah.
In Australia, you and I, not that anyone would probably vote for me, but we could run for parliament.
We can
We can
try.
run for the local council. We can
Yeah, we
try.
can attempt. There are people, there's Muslims in parliament. There are brown people,
Yeah.
black people, Asian people in parliament, meaning that
Yes.
their parents. There's one even like a German guy. There's a New Zealander. I mean, they're white, but
There was what's it called, the one of the
Scottish.
first, no, the first Sudanese. She came as a refugee, and now she's a member of parliament in WA.
Yeah, there you go. So people, they're
From
accepting
Sudan.
here. Yes, they're accepting, and it's possible in Australia. It's possible that level of integration or assimilation, or I wouldn't say integration. Assimilation is a bad word, but integrating society that you can even get to the top of the levers of power, supposedly. That's
Look, in China,
it's possible.
not even the Chinese can get to the top levers of power.
That's exactly.
So you
Yeah.
can't, you can't. The thing is, you can't compare China to the Western system because it's a completely different system. Now with China, if they're getting, if this three-child policy doesn't work, they'll just choose 2, 3 million people and say, right, you're all having 3 kids each. The state will look after them. We'll deal with it. Your job is just to
Well,
reproduce.
the thing is that
That's
they
the type
gave
of place
no.
Chinese.
I saw an interview with like parents, or they have a kid. They call them, what do they call them? Little emperors, like the single child generation,
Yeah.
because they got like literally six, two parents, four grandparents, six taking care of one,
Yeah,
and then
right.
raising one, and then that one, when he grows up, he's got to take care of all six of them, probably.
Yeah,
That's, and, you know, so
the one guy said
that's
that. He
how.
goes, I've got my wife and myself. I've got 4 sets of parents to take care of, or sorry, 2 sets of parents, so 4 other people to take care of, plus one child. I can't afford to take care of anymore.
Yeah, the
And
mini
and,
one
and there's
lady
a
said it's too much. Yeah,
there's a movement in China. It's called laying flat.
what's that?
Basically, what that movement means is I don't care. They're like, so young people are calling it laying flat. What it means is you don't care about working or that study or materialism, moving away from materialism, and basically just disappearing from the world because the pressures are too high. Another reason is one of
There's
the
what's that Japanese word for it?
it's basically like saying I'm going off the grid, but the Chinese way.
Is that like an incel? It's called incel.
I don't know. I've never heard of it incel. I've heard the
No, no,
word incel, but I don't know what it means. I don't think that's the Japanese word.
no. The Japanese word is.
You're looking it up right now,
Uh,
aren't you?
yeah, I am.
Yeah, that's right. So I think within China itself, there's a broad push, and there are some people saying, "Look, first you said to me to that noise is so annoying, bro. First you said to me that you want me to have one child only. Now you're telling me to have three. I control my body, not you."
Yeah, hikakomori.
Okay,
Uh,
thanks. My life is
yeah.
complete.
Oh, hikakomori. All right, there you go. That's actually a Japanese word for it. It means pulling inwards, being confined. Also known as acute social withdrawal. Is a total withdrawal from society and seeking extreme degrees of social isolation and confinement. I feel like that in COVID, but anyway,
So basically
hikakomori.
quarantine, COVID lockdown.
Yeah, no, but they go alone in a house. They live in a house in one room.
Yeah, how many
Hikomori
people
refers to
living?
both.
Wait. How many people living in your house with you right now?
I'm by myself at the moment.
So
I am a
hikikomori for
hikikomori
you.
right now, and I'm enjoying it. Have been described as loners or modern day hermits. Estimate. Oh, that's a nice way to put it. Modern day hermits, because historically they would have been hermits, but now they've got nowhere to go.
Inside
Right?
their house.
Estimates
No.
suggest that half a million youths have become social recluses in Japan, as well as more than half a million middle-aged individuals. All right.
Oh,
So
mashallah.
this So
Bro.
hikikomori. No. It's a sad thing. So they can disappear like into a single room for a period exceeding 6 months. That's like they actually defined it to that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, a
So that was
state that has
so basically last year's lockdown.
a state that has become a problem by the late 20s that involves cooping oneself up in one's own home and not participating in society for 6 months or longer, but that does not seem to have any other psychological problem as its principal source.
All right.
Anyway, the point being is like they don't go.
The point being
They don't,
is
sorry,
you're a hikikomori.
no, I'm socializing with you. Like they don't even totally cut off from the whole world. But anyway, I'm a level of hikikomori, maybe I don't know. But it's fascinating. It's fascinating so what you're saying? So incel is more of isn't it like young angry men or something?
I have no idea, bro.
Let me
Incel right
no
now.
no let me
Don't look it up, because when you look it up, you get distracted, and then everyone's sitting there, even home. We're going, oh, what's he looking up? We're
no
so
it's
excited right now.
sorry, incel is short for involuntary celibate.
Yeah, no comment.
Involuntary. So I get it.
No,
All right.
bro. Moving right along. Do not open up that can of worms with me.
All right. People came out of nowhere. What were we talking about?
I'm sorry, but you lost me at incel.
No, I was reading the list. Oh no, we're talking about people coming out of nowhere. So one of those people that came out of in the Muslim community out of nowhere in the English-speaking world, especially in the UK, Majid Nawaz. And alhamdulillah, he's what is it called, the Quillam Society, whatever it was, or institute. That alhamdulillah, that's closed down.
Took a lot of money from the government. Has it closed down?
Yeah, apparently,
Excellent.
Apparently, couldn't get enough money and support and all this sort of stuff. So he's one of those characters who's basically been invented in the Muslim world. Apparently, he had an extremist background. Apparently, but then he just goes out and sells out Islam and promotes like a Western Islam, right? And when I say Western
Islam, it's completely watered down. There is no Islam.
There's no Islam, number one. Number two is that he basically does the bidding of the government. So he came out like at September 11, the right time. He talked the talk, and he gets all the platforms. Like he'll be on Rogan, he's on everything. Sam Harris promotes him. All the anti-Muslim guys. Well, Rogan's not open like anti-Islam or anything like that. But all the anti-Muslim guys, they, mashallah.
Well, basically, all the platforms.
He's a modern day. You can say he's a modern day munafiq. This is what he does. He works against.
That's a big call.
Yeah, because if you hear what all the things that he says put all together, this person he works against the interests of Islam and Muslims. And alhamdulillah, in the UK, alhamdulillah, because the general community, the level of knowledge I think is much more than Australia or the US, especially even much more.
There's a lot more
awareness
Islamic
and
knowledge.
Yeah, and knowledge, and also the Muslims are generally aware of characters like this who come out of nowhere. And so, like one of the things he does at the Quillam Institute or whatever it is, which is named after Abdullah Quillam, which was like one of the first converts to build the first masjid.
And mashallah, what an amazing guy, man.
And he named it after that. And he was known. Look at the irony of this. This guy's working for the government, or like he's very comfortable with the government.
Nawaz Eyub.
Yeah, working very comfortably with the government. And the guy he names the institute after Abdullah Quillam, which was a Muslim who was named by the Ottoman Khalifa as Shaykh al-Islam of England, right? And he was ostracized, and he gave a ruling, or he said it is against the Sharia, right, that for Muslims to be part of the British Army. At that time, we're talking about the end of the 19th century, Muslims should not be part of the British Army because they're fighting Muslims all over the world. And he was branded traitor. He took it, and he was humiliated, and so forth. They tried to humiliate him, so forth. But you got to have some, subhanallah, sincerity that in that society to go against your whole society at that time, and you're going against in an empire.
The first Muslim in England, that he's the one that built the first masjid in England.
He's not the first Muslim. There's Muslim before him. He's not the first Muslim.
The first masjid
like
in England,
visibly, first masjid. Yeah, he's an amazing person. So for Majid Nawaz to use his name while he's complicit and working against the interests of Islam, furthering the anti-Islamic Western norms, right? Those ones he's pushing onto the Muslims and trying to, alhamdulillah, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make him fail, because a lot of people make it bad dua against him, because he was working hard trying to catch uh, supposedly culturally Muslim people working against the interests of Islam. But alhamdulillah, like at least, maybe it's a sign, uh, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has helped to those community over there, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remove the
Inshallah.
community, save from here and there, save us from Muslims like that, who before they put Islam and Deen, like, look, we live in Australia, we follow the laws of this land and so forth. We try to be the best, we don't cause trouble to our neighbors, we don't cause trouble to our society, disturb things. But we also are Muslims and try to practice, more importantly, we practice Islam. And Islam teaches us to do that, right? But these guys go into this whole philosophical thing of trying to dismantle the foundations of Islam and
Yeah.
try to, and they said, and they to make it out as though there's a lot of Muslims that are like them. The reality is probably otherwise. But alhamdulillah, the Muslims there, and I think Muslims everywhere, shunned him, and hopefully this is.
Now
But
the Muslims,
you know,
the Muslims generally are shunning him, but it's all these mainstream media organizations, guys that have got a lot of
yeah,
followers, a lot of fans. They're the ones giving him
yeah,
airtime, which makes it look like this guy is something or he's got something to say. It's like
yeah,
taking someone like me, put me on Joe Rogan, put me on all of these, the Today Show or the Late Night Show, whatever, all of these different
yeah,
programs.
yeah,
All of a sudden, your mainstream person thinks, oh, this person is someone important in the Muslim community, when I'm just no one. I'm just a normal guy just trying to
yeah.
get on with my life, right? So that's what's happened.
He created a whole
And
backstory. He made himself. He's just a
yeah,
normal Muslim, but he made himself an extremist who became a
that's
thing. He
right.
made a whole,
And
and
that's a
his family
beautiful
said,
sell.
that he's lying. He wasn't like that.
His own
He goes,
family
this is
said
all
that.
just. His own family said that. He goes, he made up. It's all BS. Like his whole story about his BS. He was an extremist and this and that. He goes, this is just. He created, like, he's a extreme narcissist. He created his whole backstory for his corruptions. But anyway, alhamdulillah, I
May
hope,
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala
like,
save us from all these people, man.
yeah, they work. This is the thing to always remember. We have a Sharia and a Deen, and that gives us the parameters of how to operate, right? In our beliefs, doctrine, which is based on Quran and Sunnah, our fiqh, which is based on Quran and Sunnah, like there's no need, like those parameters can't be crossed, right? Especially in the four schools, like canonical schools, the four madhabs, when
And
they all
then
agree on something and the whole ummah agrees on it, those are lines that cannot be crossed. And anybody
and it's
that
not about
crosses
your
them,
feelings. And it's not about your feelings. That's something too important, because I think that's one thing I come across a lot about. Now, I feel it's like this. I feel it should be like that.
yeah, but
Well,
that doesn't decide right or
yeah,
wrong,
that's
you know.
correct.
Yeah,
Just
that doesn't
understanding
decide
that is
right
the
or wrong.
hardest
Is
part.
told us, revealed in the Quran. It's in the Sunnah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Allah told Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that we're giving the Quran and the like thereof. The like thereof is a Sunnah. It's also revelation. The Sharia is based on the Quran, Sunnah. Pretty much that's the end of the story. Any new situation comes, we'll look at the precedent in the Quran, Sunnah, and on a sound principles from the Quran and Sunnah, a new situation will be dealt with. And alhamdulillah, every situation is dealt with based on Quran, Sunnah in those four schools. So he's someone that crossed. He's a stooge of the government. And
Yeah.
his failure and the failures of many like him that are planted in the Muslim community, or they are supported by funding. When these characters pop out of nowhere,
That's what you
like
gotta
our
worry. You gotta watch out for them.
yeah. So our podcast, we came out of nowhere 6 months ago.
Are you
People
telling
might be
me you're
suspicious
wait, hang on a sec. Are you telling me you're getting money from somewhere? Share the
for
love,
every
brother.
like.
For every like,
Yeah.
you get $1 million or something. Wait, this guy's
Yeah,
hiding all the money.
we're not well known enough, but we alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, but
Well, I don't think any
we're
government
known
department.
we're known in Melbourne,
I don't
Yeah.
think any government department is going to come to us and go, here's $1 million. Why don't you go hard?
We buy better cameras.
Buy better cameras. No, what are you talking about? I'll
Yeah.
buy myself a nice four-wheel drive.
Just last thing, I don't know why I wanted to mention this before I wanted
Wait,
to talk about.
do I need to worry about what you're about to mention?
No, the last thing. Enough about Majid Nawaz and his corruptions, but Tiger Habib, uh, uh,
Uh,
the tiger poacher in Bangladesh who got caught, 70, I think last 20,
70
70
tigers in
tiger
last 20 years.
he killed. You know how much the tiger skins cost on the market? obviously in the
No
black
idea.
market. What was it? £30,000.
No, but
So like
it's
60.
every single part of that tiger is used.
No, no, but just the skin apparently is like 30,000 pounds,
Yeah,
like
it's
50,
crazy.
$60,000.
Did you hear what the villagers said about him? Because we respect him, but we're very afraid of him. Because he goes by himself. He goes into the jungle by himself
Yeah, that's
and
what I look.
hunts
It's
tigers.
the law. It's illegal in Bangladesh because these are Bengal tigers. They're
It's illegal
rare.
in India.
They, and there's
There's
people
not
that
many
hunt to
left.
poach them. But the amount of money that I think the poacher himself gets like what was it, like 10, 15, 20,000, like half of the cut he gets. 15,000 dollars is a huge amount of money. This guy's made like, think about how much money he's made the last. He's
Times
killed
70.
70 of them.
He's
Yeah,
made
so
more than
he's
I have my
killed
whole
it.
life, mate.
So he's killed them, mashallah. So, but the thing is, it's illegal, and even in a Muslim country like Bangladesh, of course, the rule has announced that it's illegal, and therefore you can't touch it. Hence, you're breaking the rule, and that's also disobeying the ruler, and and that's against Islam. Whether for preserving the population, I think that's important or not. Whether that's important or not to have tigers, I don't know if that's like a necessity.
I'm not biting. I'm not biting.
No, I'm
I
just
did not.
saying. It just
No. I'm
it's
just saying. I'm not biting. Lada's not here.
know.
You're on your own. He's not going to support you
Yeah,
on
yeah.
this one. You
So,
get a reaction.
is
I'm
it
not
really
biting.
important to have deadly cats who will come into your village and kill people if they become man eaters? But anyway,
Ladies and gentlemen, the Shaykh Khalid is trying to get a reaction from me. As you
no,
can see,
I'm not
not
the
biting.
environmentalist. The environmentalist.
I'm not biting.
But other than that, I think like I'm just amazed that there's a human being in the 21st century
Bro, this guy looks like
who
a
goes
giant
hunting.
guy. But the funny thing is, he looks
He
like
looks
a
like
giant who
you.
goes to the
Tiger
mall.
Habib
He
looks like
does
you,
not-
man.
Please, brother. He does not look like me. He looks like a chacha that goes to the mosque
Anyway,
with his lungi and his
if you want
t-shirt.
to, somebody Google the image of Tiger Habib, and there could be like a Netflix,
Tiger
like
Habib. Yeah, and I'm gonna play his part. I'm gonna play the role of Tiger Habib because I look like him. You know what you're saying?
he goes in the jungle and hunts tigers. How nuts is that? Like how much
Yeah, that's
bravery?
crazy.
Like you gotta be a
No,
nutter
you're
to
either,
be
you're either
able.
brave or you're just completely nuts.
Yeah.
Or
No,
you
he's
just,
brave.
Or
He's
you
obviously
love
brave.
the money.
He looks like a
bro.
practicing brother. He's got like a proper
Mate.
beard and stuff. Like
Bro, everyone in Bangladesh has got a proper beard. You can't let's not go. We're not talking about his practicing brother beard, right? Everyone in Bangladesh, lungi, beard, topi, right? With
Yeah.
a singlet. Okay, that's probably generalizing Bangladeshis, but
that
what
means
I'm
they're
trying to
good.
say
Like
is,
it is generalizing,
mashallah,
but
mashallah. What I'm saying is though, you're either brave.
he's
What
a
is brave
pious tiger
What is-
poacher.
Here
He's a
we go. If he's breaking the laws of the country, he can't be a very pious tiger.
Yeah, but
You got
yeah,
living in Australia. We got to follow the laws of Australia as Muslims.
there's nothing here like
Right.
tigers. You go in the bush, nothing is there. If you're in Victoria, there's
Are you
nothing.
serious? What are you talking
What's
about?
in
How many
Victoria?
snakes we got? Snakes.
Nah, man.
But
Nah.
you don't hunt snakes.
Huh?
But you don't
Victoria.
hunt snakes. Yeah, Victoria.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
we don't have snakes. Are you crazy?
And yeah, all right, snakes. Like not a,
No, let's go. You know what?
and
Why
an
not?
animal. Listen, an animal the
Let's go bush and
size,
come up.
an animal the size of several people could kill you in a second. Right? That we don't have in Australia. There's a different level of fear level. That animal is the biggest wildcat, right? Bengal tigers are the biggest wildcat. It's bigger than lions.
All you gotta do is just tickle him under his mane. He becomes a pussycat
Yeah.
in your hands.
Yeah. A wildcat. Like, have you seen a feral cat? A feral cat. What did
Bro,
how
they're
nuts?
scary, man.
Yeah, they're scary. Like, even foxes
They're
are scared of them.
Scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
actually.
you know that story of the mice. The mice every day the cat used to come and eat all the mice. There's a parable, So the mice said like they had a meeting, and they said, "What do we do?" He goes, "Look, what we have to do is put something on its neck like a bell, so it gives us alarm so that we know because every day it's coming eating one of us." So then they said, "All right, who's going to hang it on the cat?" At the end of the conclusion, all right, ready? He goes, who's going to hang it? So the thing is that it's who's going to tickle the tiger. I'm just amazed. I'm just amazed as a human being that can go into a jungle and then hunt tigers.
Bro,
Forget the illegal,
the bloke's
environmental.
got a few, I know. Forget about the environmental stuff. The bloke's got a few screws loose. In
he's
this day and age, it's
look.
pretty full on.
I don't think so. I think that's diminishing the brother, the akhi. you're diminishing
Okay.
his because he's done it 70 times. He's consistent. He's got a plan, and he's not scared to go do it again. Those 70 times, you would
Yeah.
think. I mean, they probably put snares and stuff as well. But
Of
just the
course,
idea of
he doesn't party with his bare hands.
going into a jungle, right? You'll have to go in its territory, set up the snare. While you're setting up the snare, even this thing can sneak up on you, right? You don't have night vision. You have
Yeah,
nothing.
no, but with that experience that these guys have, they know where to go, when to hunt, what to do at
Yeah.
what time. Maybe the first few times, yeah, but after that, they know what's going on.
All right, I'm gonna go have hit the sack. I think it's just it's late. It's 1:15. I think it's stopped. We stop recording, inshallah.
On that note, thank you for watching. Assalamu alaikum. Please like, subscribe, and press the bell icon.